Hello, and welcome to the Hill Law Group podcast, where we speak about everything estate planning. I'm Meredith Hill,
And I'm Ericca Pearson.
and we are two attorneys at the Hill Law Group. And we are an estate planning firm based in Bethesda, Maryland. And we serve clients in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Today's topic is estate planning while traveling, which is very on point given that we are entering into travel season. So, first of all, what is estate planning? We'll do a brief overview of that, and then we'll go into why it's important. So, estate planning helps get your affairs in order for, planned and unplanned events. So, in this context, we're talking about making a plan for when you are away from home or out of the country and making sure your affairs are in order, not just with your assets, but with yourself. So, Erica, I'm going to toss it over to you. And what are some of the important reasons of why estate planning is important while traveling?
Well, and let me just start with this. I have a girlfriend that she will remain unnamed, who every time she goes out of town, when she's getting on the plane, she's sitting waiting for the plane. She's like, all of my stuff is in place. Here's where my estate plan is. You know where to find it. And I think what happens when we are leaving for things like you're going overseas or you're going out of the country is you think about, oh my gosh, what will happen if something happens while I'm on the plane? What will happen with my kids? It's a very normal thing to think about when you are traveling, either during the summertime or at any time. But it's important to have these documents together for a laundry list of reasons. And one of the reasons that just pops into my head just off the top is um, lots of times we ask people, collect my mail while I'm out of town, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to have a lot of mail collecting so it looks like you're not there. So you may ask a friend or family member, collect my mail while I'm out of town. And a lot of times we don't think about the fact that generally people need authority to collect your mail.
Mhm.
So having your power of attorney in place, and you don't, I mean, ideally you will ask the person who you've named your power of attorney. And that person is going to be in your power of attorney document. You will name someone who you trust to handle your financial matters, to handle either contracting, signing a contract on your behalf, or collecting your mail. So this document needs to be in place before you get on the plane. And you would ask, generally, we ask for at least two people to be listed on there. You can go as many as three or four. But ask one of those people who are listed on your power of attorney to collect your mail while you're out of town so that it doesn't look like you're gone for that long week. And so things are all in place when you come home, right?
Mhm.
So collecting mail is one of the things that I can think that you need to have someone to be able to do. But the other thing that people think about, specifically when they're not traveling with their children, is how are my children going to be taken care of?
Mhm.
Who's going to serve as the guardian of my children? How will my children be taken care of financially if something happens to me? So the two types of documents that you need to have in place in that instance definitely need to have your last will and testament in place. And that document is the document that indicates who serves as the guardian of your children, right? So you want to be the person in all instances, and specifically when you are out of town, that says, something happens to me and my spouse. These are the people that should take care of my children. You don't want the court to decide. You don't want your family members fighting over who gets to take care of your children. You want to, have thought about it and have people set in an order based on whatever your situation is. But you want to be the one who names who's going to be listed as the guardians of your children. So the last will and testament is a document that you need to have in place there. And for financial matters, we're looking at things like either your will or your trust. And we've talked about what the will and the trust is in other documents, but clearly in your will and your trust, you'll say, here's how I want my children to be taken care of if something happens to me. And lots of times we're looking at really minor children, children who are under the age of 18. We want to be sure that they're taken care of, that their health, their education, their maintenance and support is all covered if anything were to happen to you. But I think particularly, again, we think about that when we are traveling out of town.
Those are all great things. Another thing that I think about is your health related documents, because something you may, eat something bad while abroad, or
Injured
even
on that jet ski.
yes, 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 you could get injured and end up in the hospital. I actually know a girl that did get injured. She went skiing in Denver or
Mm.
somewhere in Colorado, and the very last day she like broke her leg in all these places and had to go get surgery at the hospital. And it's in those situations, she was not planning to get injured, and now she's going through all the recovery of that. Um, but in that situation, it's important to have like your medical directives in order. And a medical directive, it's just a document that nominates someone to make health decisions on your behalf if you are not able to express your wishes to your doctor. So I would recommend having that in place, as well as a HIPAA authorization, which allows you to name people to speak to your doctors about your health care. So if you have concerned parents, for example, or your spouse wants to call and check in to see about your condition, they can do that. A lot of people assume that your spouse or your parents can just call and check on you, and the doctor will give them your medical information. And that is a common misconception, because they are under their laws
Mhm.
that state that they can only talk to you about your healthcare and anyone that you've given them express consent to. So we want to make sure like that's in place
Mhm.
as well as your medical directives, which we also refer to as your advance directive. So that is those are very key documents.
You also may think about your living will. We hope that it doesn't get that serious.
Mhm.
So your living will is also a document that's included in your healthcare, like we call the kind of the collective healthcare documents. And so say for instance, that friend of yours that was in the ski accident, if she hurt herself to a point where she was unconscious and there were it got so serious that, oh my gosh, she was in a permanent vegetative state. I guess it could get that serious. The living will is the document that indicates if you want to be on life support. And if you do want to be on life support, how long you want to be on life support. It's one of those documents a lot of times we don't really want to think about, period. But it's so important to have in place generally, just because nobody wants to be the one to quote unquote pull the plug.
Mhm.
You just don't. And for the most part, I think when you have your loved ones, you want them here for as long as they can stay. And
Mhm.
so keeping them on life support is probably the decision that most people would make.
Mhm.
Um, but really the person who's going through that situation should be the one to make that decision. And the your healthcare agent should be the one carrying out those wishes as you have outlined in your living will.
Mhm.
I am one of those that does not want to be on life support. I have this huge fear of being able to hear everything and knowing, oh my gosh, I am not living a good life. I don't want to just lie here in bed. I just don't want to hear life go by. Let me go. And so I'm one of those who, if I don't have, if I'm in that permanent vegetative state, I know it's sad, but I let me go and you guys go on and think happy memories of me. But there may be people who want to stay on life support for a long, long time. We talk to
Mhm.
clients who have that thought. They've had friends that have stayed on life support for 5 years and have come back.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
is really about outlining your wishes in that living will, generally, and then again, when we're traveling and going out of town.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I know this all sounds like super sad, and the likelihood of it happening, it's probably not great. Um, but since we're planners, we like to plan for any type of scenario. So we just like to have your affairs in order just in case. Hopefully you don't ever have to use it, but there are those times where it does come in handy to have these documents. And I can't tell you how many, well, we cannot tell you how many times we've had people come to us last second saying, I need a power of attorney for my family member, they are in a coma and I need to sign some stuff at the bank, or I need to do this, that, or the other. And at that point, it's way too late. Like we can't do it because the person is unconscious
In a
and
coma.
in a coma. Same with making medical decisions and all that comes with that. So you have to make sure these things are in order while you are alive, while you're of sound mind, and then you can go on your vacation and travel plans.
Have fun.
Have fun, not
I'm
worry
thinking
about.
about estate
Yeah.
planning, but you definitely want to think about it before you go,
Yeah.
so that it is not. I'm a worry ward, and you don't want to be worrying when you're going on vacation or going to have fun.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the time that you kind of let go, get excited.
And just before you go, just make sure someone, at least one person knows where to find your stuff if they need it.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, that is our brief overview of the importance of estate planning while you're traveling. So make sure you go and get your documents in order. Again, we are with the Hill Law Group, an estate planning firm in Bethesda, Maryland. And feel free to visit us at thehilllawgroup.com and on social media at Hill Law Group. So until then, we will see you next time. Bye.